Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is your very busy transfer and news show. We are going to discuss Raphael Varane's comments about the FA. He's absolutely slammed him in regards to game time, so we'll touch on that. The Sun have put something out about the takeover. We won't spend too long on that because, let's be honest, it's the Sun and you can't really trust him, but we will discuss it. Mason Greenwood's future, and more stuff coming out about that. Tadibo, the centre-back, some links that Romano's put out there, some midfield outgoings in Donny van der Beek and Fred, the goalkeeper situation, and there's a few other little bits as well that we need to get through as well. So I'm just going to get rid of that sound because I don't know what that is. Do that. Big up, everyone. Happy afternoon. Welcome to the chat. We'll get into your comments very, very shortly. Welcome, Shreyas. How are you doing, pal?
Yeah, doing fairly well. Like you mentioned, a lot of stuff coming out today. And yeah, excited to actually, go into it.
Yeah. Well, the first kind of the one that stood out to me this morning when I was doing my usual kind of news rounds and looking at what's going on with Manchester United in a minute was the Varane statement, because there's been a lot of news around kind of timekeeping and players playing too much. And I'll just read out the statement for you and then we'll dive into it. So he basically said, and it's coming from Varane as well, who's, we know he's had his injury issues in it. So yeah, he's pretty spot on with what he says. But he says, we had a meeting last week with the FA. They recommended from the referees new decisions and rules. From the managers and players, we have shared our concerns for many years now that there are too many games. The schedule is overcrowded and it's at a dangerous level for players' physical and mental well-being. Despite our previous feedbacks, they have now recommended for next season longer games, more intensity, and less emotions to be shown by players. We just want to be in good condition on the pitch to give 100% to our club and fans. Why are our opinions not being heard? As a player, I feel very privileged to do the job I love every day, but I feel these changes are damaging our game. We want to be at maximum level, the best we can be, and put on amazing performances for fans to celebrate every week. I believe it's important that we, players and managers, highlight these important issues as we want to protect the game we love and give the fans our best. Is he right in everything he's saying here? And what are your thoughts on this statement?
I think this is an issue that has been actually highlighted on a lot of occasions. Like I remember, I think it was the UEFA Nations League in which after the match, it was Thibaut Courtois who actually came out and had to say somewhat of the same things as what Varane has said. And I think it is 100% true because the amount of games that these players play, like just take our last season for example. Like we had to play one game every single 3 days last season, and it had an effect on these players. Like you could see the levels drop, you could see more injuries, you could see players like Anthony, players like Ericsson, you could see the quality levels drop. You could see that if you don't have enough replacements in your team who can actually come in and take the spot of these players for a couple of games to give them that much needed rest that they really need, injuries are going to happen. Like these players, they are human too. Their body also requires rest in order to perform to the top of their ability. And for players like Varane, I would say when they're fit, they're impeccable. But you can see that even he suffers with fitness issues, and one of the biggest reason is because we have to play so many games in such a short span of time. It doesn't give their bodies enough time to actually recover. So I think it is very, very important. I think this is one of the things that is actually very, very important, so that you can actually protect these players, especially these young players, because when they're coming in, when they're being picked, they're high on confidence, they want to play every single game. Sometimes they overstrain their bodies at a young age, and by the time they reach 25 or 26, when people expect them to hit their primes, they're practically finished because their legs just don't have that
Look at
energy
Michael
back
Owen.
anymore. Exactly my point.
Michael Owen, prime
Yeah,
example of that.
yeah. And these players, sometimes when they do undergo injury, this overstraining of their bodies tends to it increases the time span till they can actually come back. It has a toll on their bodies. So I think I actually agree with Rafa Varane. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. And like many things, problems in the world, there's always something behind it. And that one main thing is money. The reason why the Glazers aren't sold the club yet is money. The reason why they're introducing all these fixtures is money. Like it's always behind it at some point. We've got loads of people in the chat. Leave a like on the video for us if you haven't done that already. 13 of you at the minute. Your place in the cosmos says, yes, lads, big up to you tuning in every single show, and a lot of you other guys as well. Brian Casey in the chat saying, afternoon, lads. Happy Monday. It is happy Monday. Even though it's Monday, I'm feeling quite good. Kangan is saying players are humans too. Absolutely. Henry Jones saying also don't see the point of the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley either. It's stress for fans and all it's for money for petrol and train companies. Very important point. Edgar says the emotion and other things make sense, but they have to understand crowding the ref isn't good for football. Being rude also, as kids watch this, it's not going to change more money and wages, more games. A lot of difference in opinions. I like it. Angie's saying last year, way too many games for the players. Totally agree. Edgar said last year can't be used as World Cup was during the year. I still think, no, even that if you remove the World Cup, still a lot of games. I mean, Bruno played the most in Europe, didn't he?
The reason the World Cup was held at that particular time is because they wanted to get more money, because they wanted to, hold it in Qatar. And it is not possible for you to hold a World Cup in Qatar during the summer time. So
yeah,
everything, it does come down to the fact that, whether it's UEFA, whether it's FIFA, all the associations, at the end of the day, it is money that actually matters to them more.
Yeah, that's always been always been the case. Prabhav in the chat as well. Big up to Prabhav, who is a Real Red Ultra member. We're gonna get a couple more members videos out for you this week. Sam's was supposed to drop yesterday, but he was quite busy with. We had loads of stuff to do with the channel, so he will drop that at some point, and then I'll drop another one as well. I don't know whether it'd be a transfer one or I'll figure it out, but we'll have the content out. Don't worry about that. Very, very shortly. Yeah, I agree with this whole kind of time thing. You look at the Nations League international friendlies. I just think they're just pointless. Like who really is asked? I'd be very surprised if there's anyone in the chat right now who's asked about the Nations League, because I couldn't give a bollocks about it. Whenever it's on, I'm like, I don't care.
It's just an extra tournament for the heck of it. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah. Like, do you know when after last season when it finished and you're like, right, they need. I think our last game was June the 4th or 5th in the final, or early June.
Yeah.
City in the FA Cup final.
FA Cup final.
Then you're done. And you're like, right, well, let the lads get a rest. It's been a hectic season. They played more than they won, and then like 2 weeks later, you seen like Rashford, Shaw, Maguire, and a few others like on international duty. You're just like, how are you supposed to recover properly for a season if they're going out and doing shit like this? Like,
in a true sense, these players only get like 10 to 13 days of full days rest in between seasons.
Yeah.
And that's not enough for them to actually recover.
And obviously people go, well, they're on 250 grand a week. It don't make them superhuman. It doesn't. Like, yes, it helps. Look, on big money, but it doesn't make it. The minutes that Bruno put in last season, I would love to know what he has for breakfast. He's got to be on some form of, I don't know, summit. It's got to be on summit, because the energy that kid has,
way he does on the pitch. Like, it's not the case that, Bruno is just on the pitch and he occupies a certain position and does just moves forward. If he's there, he works like a dog on that pitch. Like, he covers every single space in that midfield. Yeah.
It's absolutely mad. I bet when he was a kid, he was just one of them that just ran around, had bags of energy, and his mum was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
He never goes to sleep, man. A few more people in the chat. Sam saying big season preview tonight. Yes, thank you for reminding me. We've got a huge show tonight. So whoever's watching, please do tune in. There's got to have, I think, all of the lads from the channel on.
Yeah.
We're waiting for one more. But I think all the lads are going to be on the channel, and we're going to discuss this season's preview. Top 4, top goal scorers, relegation, who's going to flop, ones to watch, everything. And they're always fun. They're always really, really fun. So make sure you do come and join us for that. I'm not sure on the timing. I think maybe, I'm not entirely sure. It'll be somewhere from 6 to 7 anyway. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a huge, huge show. But yeah, what about the time wasting, Shreyas? Because there's been a lot made about that in a minute as well. How would you manage it? Because they're talking about now, they're going to do it, when the World Cup, and it had like an extra 10 minutes, did it in added time. So games were going for like 100 minutes. Are you a fan of that? Or would you more approach it with like the stop clock, where when it goes out, you just literally stop it so people can't, and time doesn't get added on, if that makes sense?
To be very honest, being a Manchester United fan, my opinion towards it changes every week. Because if you're in a game, you're leading 1-0, you want the game to just end at that 90th minute mark. If you're losing 2-1, probably, you want that extra 10 minutes to be there. But as a footballing fan, I would say I would want the 10 minutes in totality, because we've seen how, sometimes. I still remember that game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. The way they wasted time, getting into referees' faces, and it does cost momentum, it does cost morale, and it does cost a lot of important time during the course of games. Last season, I think it was Newcastle that actually recorded the least time football in play because they wasted
Yeah.
time. I don't know how they did, but they wasted as much as time as they possibly could to protect their leads. So I think in a true way, I would want the extra 10 minutes. Like the amount of time you waste, you should be able to, recover it in extra time. And I think if it allows you to play full 90 minutes of football, I really wouldn't mind it. Like you're playing full 90 minutes of football.
It's weird. I was speaking to Jay from Paddock about this the other day, and he was saying him and Steve did a show. I think it might be. I don't know if it was just Steve or him and Steve did a show, and they looked at like on average how many minutes are played. It's like 55 to 60 minutes in a game, and it's like half an hour wasted. A lot, which is like, come on. And I agree with Adam saying, I wish they just stopped the clock. I do that as well. Or you have them kind of what was it, rolling throw-ins or kickings? I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I think there is a way you can increase the game in that regard, because time wasting, just like for either side, I can't stand it. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Henry Jones says that's 7-0 game though. Adam says can't even have a pint before they need to get back into the season fitness. Exactly.
Yeah.
Kangan says I hope authorities can come out and protect these players. Absolutely. Edgar says yeah, but unfortunately more wages, more matches, because football is their job. Understand they're humans and understand they will have to take pay cuts with less matches. Just saying wages are an issue. Yeah, look, I mentioned the wages there. They obviously get paid an astronomical amount of money, but that doesn't mean they should be able to
translate
do something that the body's incapable of.
Fitness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it obviously helps because you're like, right, well, I'm putting in the work and I'm getting 250 grand in my bank at the end of the week. So it obviously helps, but it doesn't make you more physical, if that makes sense. Brian saying United played 63 games last season. Bruno played 62 of them. It's all to do with money. It's ruining the sport.
And I still remember the reason why he didn't play the 63rd game as well is because he was suspended because of accumulation of yellow cards. That's the only reason he did play that extra game.
Yeah. And even then, he would have been running about his living room or something.
Yeah.
Imagine so. Yeah. Raphael Varane, we are with you on this. You're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
The Nations League needs to be binned off. That's one of the worst tournaments I've ever seen.
I still don't understand the point of it.
And the stupid international friendlies as well. Just fuck it off. Honestly. They never will. They never ever will, because international football will always be there or thereabouts. I've completely fallen out of love with international football. I've never really been in love with it, but I had a moment where, England were getting far in the tournament, semi-finals, finals, and I was like, I can get with this. I'm involved. I'm excited about it. Now I'm just like, I'm numb to it now. Like, I can't be asked with England. Whenever we go for international break, I'm now like, can't fucking wait for United to start again, because it's just so boring. But anyway, we'll move it on, because like we said, we've got a lot to discuss. A couple of days ago, Shrez, again, we won't spend too long on this bit because we spoke about the takeover so much, but there was something reported from the Sun. So again, take it with a pinch of salt. But Manchester United are reportedly convinced they will get a deal done by November to sell the club to the Qataris. A new report from the Sun claims discussions over a takeover took a big leap forward in recent weeks that has supposedly led to Qatari banker Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani consortium have been doing due diligence ahead of a final formal offer. And it's coming off the back of when the Glazers put out there basically that it's Qatar the ones who are taking time. This strongly suggests Qatar have jumped ahead of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid in the race for Manchester United, with the Glazers set to make their decision on the successor. The Glazers announced their plans to sell the club in November. That means the whole process could be wrapped up over 12 months if a deal is complete by November this year. Furthermore, the reports add that Erik ten Hag has been in talks with the Glazers about what the future holds for United. He's been able to add 3 big summer signings to the squad this summer, with apparently 2 more potentially happening. This will raise further questions about Manchester United becoming a victim of sports washing. A lot of fans on social media will tell you that they don't care about that, and it shows. But ultimately, that's a large section of the match-going fan base that feels differently about it. I don't know what to ask you about this. Do you think it's bullshit? Do you not care anymore? Do you buy this whole? Because the Glazers putting out there that, it's Qatar's fault why it's dragging on so long. Is that spin, or what are your thoughts on it?
I cannot trust the Glazers about anything. And I think they are the best at actually turning things around when it comes to PR. And they've been doing it for so many years at Manchester United. I think even when it comes to the match-going fans, I think most of them would at least want clarity as to what's happening. Because right now, nobody knows anything. Everyone is just putting out their speculations, whether it's the Sun, whether it's any journalist out there. Because This has been kept in closed doors in such a way that no one even has the slightest hint of anything. The only thing that there are only two possibilities coming out of this. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is ahead, Qatar is ahead. That's the only two speculations that can come out of this, and right now it is evident that Qatar is ahead. That's why we haven't seen any
Yeah.
other bid coming in for them. So I think there is genuinely nothing that can be said about the entire sale process. The Glazers can make a U-turn
Mm.
at any point they want. I still believe that they are going to sell. I don't know when it will happen though, but I think it will happen at the most unexpected time. That's when it will happen.
Do you think? Do you think with the transfers that we've made and the money that's being spent, does that play anything into it at all? The fact that we've got 3 deals over the line and then another 2 potentially coming in. That doesn't seem like a Glazer window, does it?
It doesn't, but maybe it is Ten Hag's influence. Maybe it is because of new appointees or new members in the board. It could be anything, but I firmly believe that uh, they just don't have the financial capacity to actually go through running Manchester United for the future. They still have to
Mm.
invest
I
heavily
also,
in. Yeah, they still I think the stadium is the biggest deal breaker for the Glazers right now because they just cannot
yeah, of
spend
course.
to actually either reconstruct or reinvest into the stadium. Both of them, they're in no position to actually pull that sort of feat off, and the person that can is Qatar. That is why things are actually progressing in their direction.
Yeah, and it was obvious legal issues with Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid as
Yeah.
well, which would have complicated things. Excuse me, my chest's going mad. Brian saying, "Wait, what? United's up for sale? When did this happen? Happy days." I know. Yeah, breaking news for
Breaking
the
news.
90th time. United are for sale.
Yeah.
Apparently, I know. Look, I know people are sick of it, and that's why I'm saying I don't want to spend long on it because it is what it is. It's just people are just waiting to it. Just let me know if it's been sold or not. I'm not asked if fucking is the shoes that Sheikh Jassim wear are brown or the fucking what I mean. No one gives a fuck. It is what it is. So let's just
Yeah.
move on from that. But I just wanted to get your point on it because it's a news story. We report news. We talk about it,
Yeah.
etc. The next story is Mason Greenwood, and this again is coming from the Sun. So the Sun are full of stories apparently at the minute. They put out there that all the players believe he deserves a second chance because he's innocent in the eyes of the law. He didn't have the opportunity to clear his name in court because the charges were dropped, so the players feel like he has been left in limbo. They know it'll be difficult, but they're willing to support him through it and protect him. If you was a player in that dressing room, how would you handle it? Because they're going to get asked questions about this, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when they do post-match, thing is like, oh, how was Mason integrating into the team, or what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that? What do you say to that?
No comment. I think that's the only thing you
Tell
can
us what you
actually
say.
Yeah, because
But does that not make things worse though? Because like when you get caught and you're like they're asking you about a
I
murder
think
or something, and you go no comment.
I would still say saying no comment is much better than actually saying anything, because the moment you say anything, your words can be taken out of context about Mason
Yeah,
Greenwood.
yeah,
So
it's a good
it's a
point.
very
But if
sensitive
these
topic.
reports are true though,
Yeah.
if they're saying they'll support him, they believe he's innocent in the eyes of the law. I don't know what players he's referring to, but do you believe that there's quite a lot of players who are willing to integrate him back into the team?
There was one picture I saw of him training with Elanga.
Alanga, yeah.
A while back. So maybe it could be true, but
Mm.
I still don't know how it will be perceived within the team itself. Like, we have a women's team, we have an under 23s, and we've got a lot of players in that squad, in that club. Will they be comfortable? Will they be willing to actually give Mason Greenwood a second chance? I think that's a bigger thing. Will Ten Hag be willing to
Yeah.
actually disrupt a locker room altogether just to give Mason Greenwood a second chance? There are still a lot of questions
This-
about it.
I think a big debate that's been about it was if this was, I mean, all due respect, but I don't know, if this was someone like, I don't know, a Gerardo, let's say at right back, or a youngster, or someone who doesn't get a lot of game time or whatever, I don't think they'd be as hard, or there won't be as this much spin, or do you know what I mean? Like, because it's Mason Greenwood, generational talent.
Yeah.
United don't really have a striker. They obviously got Rasmus Højlund in now, but he could be the biggest striker. And the financial side of it, they're kind of like, well, it's worth taking the hit in PR and media and stuff, but I don't know if it is. I'm not. Regardless, and like obviously, I take into account what's happened. That's the main important thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, from a football perspective, is it really worth bringing him back in for the circus that you're going to get around it, especially when he's been out for 18 months?
Exactly. And I don't think that we need that energy or we need that sort of attention at Manchester United at the moment. We've had that before.
Yeah.
We're already one of the biggest targets when it comes to the media. And if someone like a Mason Greenwood comes back into this team, it provides them more ammunition to actually come with Manchester United.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
imagine he comes back. Imagine he does play for Manchester United again, and he doesn't have a good run of 10 to 15 games. Things are just going to
Then
get
it's
worse
like, well,
and
you
worse and
brought
worse. Exactly.
you brought a nightmare back for nothing.
Ten
Like
Hag
you don't even
benches
get
him.
the ability that's
And
come with it.
then Ten Hag benches
Yeah,
him.
that's like
So
it just made so much more sense to me just loaning him out. So
exactly.
much easier. Loan him
Just
out, then
yeah.
go to a different country, play. If he plays well, then make a decision if you want to keep him, if you want to loan him out, whatever. But I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of lads on the channel who have voiced their opinion on it, said they're not comfortable with it. But ultimately, like most things, like the takeover we was discussing,
We don't have any
like the
control
game
over it.
time things discussing, we don't have a say. We don't literally
Exactly.
don't have a say in any of it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Whilst we're quickly on the striker situation, Shreyas, I saw last night that Gonzalo Ramos to PSG. Here we go. They've had a verbal agreement, 80 million euros, 65 million fixed fee with 15 in add-ons, and I believe that's cheaper than Højlund, right?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that? If you had an option out of them both, who would you have gone for if Ramos is cheaper or the same price, let's say? And again, sorry, just before you answer, that's a question for the chat.
Yeah.
Gonzalo Ramos, 65 million euros, 15 add-ons. Rasmus Højlund, 70 million euros, 10 add-ons. Literally the same price. Who would you have rather have gone for?
The only thing I would say that Gonzalo Ramos actually has over Højlund is experience. Like he's done it at the big stage. He's done it at the World Cup. He's done it for Benfica. He's taken them deep into the Champions League last season as well. Been a prolific goal scorer for them. Absolute machine when it comes to pressing. Really coordinated with his wingers and his overall midfield. So I think for the same fee, once again, it is an equal gamble bringing in Gonzalo Ramos or bringing in Rasmus Højlund. There is with both, there is not a certainty that they will work out. There's a 50-50% chance of both of them not working out or working out at the club. I've seen a lot of Rasmus Højlund in Serie A for Atlanta. I've seen a lot of clips of Gonzalo Ramos as well for Benfica. But for the same fee, I probably would have leaned more towards Gonzalo Ramos just because of the fact that he's way more experienced than Højlund. Like I think Højlund has his
less of a gamble. Do you think?
Yeah. I think in comparison to Højlund, it is because for someone who scored a hat trick at the World Cup, he's done it at one of the biggest stages for Portugal, who right now I would say are a side who are considered, that they can go into the deep stages of the tournament. So. And he did it in Cristiano Ronaldo's position. Like Cristiano Ronaldo was benched and he came into his position and he scored a hat trick against Switzerland. So I think it was being mentioned a lot of times that Ramos is one of the top options for Erik Ten Hag in this window. If when it comes to strikers, maybe he saw something different in Rasmus Højlund and went with him, but just because of the fact that Ten Hag actually came out and actually said things about Højlund, and now he's at the club, I would go with Højlund. But if it just came down from the perspective of a fan, I would have gone with Ramos.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because Højlund's definitely more of a risk, but now I see him at the club, and you know how much Erik Ten Hag wants him. I'm kind of like, it's one of them, innit? Yeah. It's one of them. But it surprised me the fee because everyone was talking about his release clause being like 100 million euros or 100 million pounds. So it's like, well, clearly Benfica are willing to offer accept less. Would have that been the same case if United went in for him? You never know, do you? Probably would have pushed up another 20 million, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's loads of comments, so I want to get into him. You can always rely on Sam to have a debate about Mason Greenwood in the chat, so I'll just leave that to be. I'm not diving into all that. Let's have a look. Brian saying, I'm on this new social media platform called X and no one is talking about it there. Must be how I missed it. Sam says, the sun equals... Brian's on form today, isn't he? The sun equals absolute bollocks. Yep. Let's have a look. Henry says, I'd just say focus on the game. The team is more important and we played well today. Could have done better. Debating about Greenwood. Aaron Gregory's in the chat. Big up to Aaron. always welcome on the chat, not on the chat, on the show, sorry, you know that. Saying, yes, boys, how we doing? Very well. I hope you're good, Aaron. Nice to see you in the chat, mate. Just for people who are joining, because they're like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. We basically, at the start of the show, we spoke about Varane's quotes on the FA. The amount of game time that they're playing is like unacceptable, but they're not being heard. We spoke about the takeover. We spoke about Mason Greenwood. We're going to move on to the next topic very, very shortly. Just reading out a few more comments. Brian saying the fact that Ten Hag earmarked Højlund as the first choice and Ramos as backup, I'm happy he's got his man. Rasmus will be here for many years. Yep. Henry Jones says, I really don't rate Ramos. I think he's been overhyped by people on X. Everyone's calling it X now. Because of his hat trick. He didn't do anything after that. I mean, he's had a relatively good return for Benfica. He's put in performances in Champions League that I've seen him look relatively good. Overhyped, I think, there's a slight argument with it. A little bit. I know what you mean.
But if you just look into stats, like what he did last season, across all competitions, he scored more than 20 goals and got more than 5 assists. So, in totality, he had like 25 goal contributions through all competitions last season. For a striker who's that young and coming through the ranks, it is a very big season.
Yeah. And when you talk about, like you said, seasoned, he's played in the World Cup, played in the Champions League, played at the top level. So, he would deal with the pressure much better. Whereas Højlund, you're like, 9 goals for Atlanta, 20 years old, only played like a handful of, I think I don't know how many games he's played. He's not played loads of games. So you bring him to United, it's like, whoa, this is a lot of fucking pressure for a young kid. But I think he'll live up to it. I think Ten Hag's scouting is really, really good in that regard. So that's why I'm not that bothered, because I'm just like, I trust the manager. And if he really wanted him and he sees something, then look how good it'll be if we do get him. And if he does turn out to be this 20-plus striker in the league, he's only 20 years old. I'm saying
in his first season as well.
By the time his contract finishes, he won't even be in his prime.
Exactly.
That's the mad thing.
Exactly.
He'll be 26 technically. So it's worth it, I think. But let's see if we'll be saying that by the end of the season. Right, let's move on then. Again, loads to talk about. We've been linked with a French centre-back to Debo. Manchester United had contacts to be informed on the conditions of Jean-Claire Todibo deal. No bid or talks at this stage, as the option could only be activated if Harry Maguire leaves. Juventus already left the race for Todibo last week. Obviously, this is only going to happen really if Harry Maguire leaves the club, Treyas. But Todibo, I'm not sure if you've seen much of him. Could this be one to grow into the Varane role? Does it excite you as much as the Kim Min-jae deal that we've got linked with?
I haven't seen that much of Todibo. I've heard the name on a couple of occasions, but I haven't seen or heard something like I heard something with Kim Min-jae. Like if you saw Kim Min-jae, you could see why Ten Hag would have wanted him and why he would have been a perfect replacement for Varane in the future. Like, I think he's going to absolutely kill it at Bayern Munich alongside De Ligt, alongside Upamecano. I think he'll be a terrific signing for them. And that as well for just 50 million euros. So I think we really missed a very, very good player in Kim Min-jae. But I think we need to be very careful signing our next centre-back. Because now that we sign our next centre-back, we have to keep it in mind that this guy has to, probably grow into the role of Raphael Varane and take that spot of Raphael Varane in the next couple of years. So whoever you go in for, you need to be very cautious with who you actually go in for and what profile you go in with. You can't just, go in with 80 million or 90 million without assessing what this player can actually, amount to be at this club, in this system, in the Premier League. So it is going to be I don't think Todibo is the right choice for it, personally, because I just haven't seen or heard enough about Todibo.
You know, my thing is, all of our centre-back targets have just been knocked down, haven't they? Look at Kim Min-jae gone, Disasi gone. So there's another one that we was looking at. Timber gone. And it's like, how far are you going down that list?
Last season we were looking at Badiashile gone to Chelsea as well.
Yeah. Chelsea just signing every motherfucker at the minute. By the way, very quickly, I forgot to mention, for anyone who hasn't joined the Fantasy League yet, the code is J5AMSC. J5AMSC. It's filling up more and more. Whoever comes first by the end of the league, they win a retro jersey. It'll be a random one, but it'll be a top level one, like a Madrid one, Barcelona one, something like that. So if you want a chance to win that, make sure you join our Fantasy Football League. The code, if you look on the Instagram, Twitter, it's all over there. So yeah, the code is J5, AMSC. See, it's filling up very, very quickly, so make sure you get that sorted before the Friday deadline. Let me read out a few more comments. Let's have a look. Kangan says Ramos could have been a safer gamble, in my opinion. Aaron Gregory says running on the treadmill, watching Real Reds. Happy Monday. Love that grind. He's putting the grind in visually and physically, which you like to see. Henry Jones says my gran could have a good return in La Liga. And about the Portuguese league. Fair enough. Brian Casey says Ten Hag obviously sees that Højlund can fit the system better than Ramos can. Sometimes stats can be misleading. They can, but I think Ramos would fit the system as well, personally. You look at his pressing, you look at his link up, he's not as quick. I don't think he's as quick as Højlund, but yeah, he can do both sides.
The only
of the
thing you
game
can
really,
say
really well.
about Goncalo Ramos would be, but I think probably in a way it sticks to Højlund as well. Both have played in a strike partnership up until now.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar Edits says hi again. Hello to you. Hope you're very well. Aaron Gregory says thought we signed that young lad Evans to replace Varane. I know, but who knows? Johnny Evans might outlast Varane. You never know, do you? Henry Jones says Stretic Manners are going to win. Yeah, I've seen that team name. Whoever gets the best team name is all, we're going to give a prize out for that. So if you have joined our league, get your team names in the comments section and we'll read some of them out. But yeah, the deadline is Friday, so make sure you join whoever if you haven't already done. STP Mitchell is in the chat saying, yo, everyone, hope everyone has an amazing day. Glazers out. Absolutely, Glazers out forever and always until they do fuck off. Right, McTominay, Fred, Donny, let's talk about it. United have rejected the first bid for Scott McTominay from West Ham by claiming they want £40 million. He's also on Roma's shortlist if Nemanja Matic leaves. There was also something that came out before as well about Maguire. West Ham going to push for Maguire and McTominay again for like second bids. I'm not really in a hurry to move McTominay on as much as McDonough, yeah.
McDonough, yes.
I'm not in a rush to move on McTominay as much as like Donny and Fred deal, just because I know Amrabat will be done if we manage to get rid of them. I'm not even sure who would bring in to replace McTominay. Are you in a rush to sell him? Are you bothered about it? Like,
I don't think we even.
I don't know where they're going to reinvest that money.
I think right now we don't have a need to replace McTominay. The way this window is actually proceeding, we've got enough midfielders for the first time, and good midfielders as well. You've got Bruno, you've got Casemiro, you've got Mount, then you've got Eriksen, you've got Kobe Mainoo, and you're getting Amrabat. So you're getting 6 midfielders already at the club. And I think moving into next season, it's more than enough. Like, you've got 6 players who can play in those 3 positions. I think it's more than enough. And one of those players is Bruno Fernandes, who can play every single game of the season. So you're practically going in with 7 midfielders. So I think it's a good enough squad. I think it's a good enough squad to actually go in with. I think having Kobe Mainoo coming through the ranks has been a big help. I think if Kobe Mainoo hadn't come through the way he has in preseason, I would be in a position where I would have said, if McTominay leaves, we need someone else to come in. But I think that we can make do with McTominay, Fred, and Donny, all three of them leaving.
Yeah, and it's not like we're relying on Kobe Mainoo to succeed.
Yeah.
I've seen the levels from him where you can just drip feed him into cup games. It's not like, oh, you have to play Premier League. We've got enough cover, I think. Amrabat's the important one. People look at that deal and they'll be like, oh, it's only 25 to 30 million or whatever, blah, blah, blah. He will be such an important signing because the level that happens when Casemiro drops off, we haven't got that. Kobe Mainoo's good, but I don't know if he's ready to play, a lot of games just yet. I would still drip feed him in. So Amrabat coming in will take that pressure off him. He can take that pressure off Mount when Mount needs to go out. Mount can rotate with Bruno. Yeah. That's the perfect. He's like the perfect utility player for us. So I hope that happens soon. But that only happens, Shreyas, if Fred leaves. United expect a sale of Fred to advance next week, meaning this week that we're on now. Sources guarantee he will 100% leave the club. But we spoke about it the other day, how talks have been broken down with Galatasaray, right? So where does he go?
Saudi.
Who can he do a job for?
Saudi.
You think he wanted to move to Galatasaray, wasn't it? That's the reason why United kind of had to sell to them.
The only reason he wanted Galatasaray as a move was because they were in the Champions League next season. I think that was a big thing. That was a big draw point.
That was going to be my next question. That's why I was going to say, why do you think Galatasaray over Fulham and Saudi? But you've already answered it. Ding, ding. He's on it. But yeah, let me know about the midfield situation, guys. Whoever's in the chat, McTominay, Fred, Donny. Who are you happy to sell and let go? Who would you bring in to replace him? Do we just need Amrabat? Do we reinvest that money elsewhere? Let me know as we continue to talk. We've got one more thing to discuss, and that is the goalkeeping situation. So we've had breaking news around 3 goalkeepers. So the first one is when we had basically agreed a fee to sign goalkeeper Zion Suzuki, but he has rejected them in favour of joining Belgian club STVV, and he wanted game time, I think, for the Olympics that's coming up. Matej Kovac set to leave on loan. I think he's going to go to a championship club or back to Sparta Prague, I think.
Yeah.
And then Tom Heaton is staying at Manchester United after talks with Erik ten Hag as well. So loads of things kind of flip and rotate in that goalkeeper situation. Are you happy with the goalkeeping options? Do we still need to bring another one in? How do you feel about it?
I'm happy. I think even if going into next season we've only got Tom Heaton as a number 2 goalkeeper, I wouldn't really be worried about it. I think he can still do a job for us if it is as a number 2 goalkeeper. I think it is a good blend to have someone like Tom Heaton in the club as well. If Kova stays, if he ends up staying, I wouldn't be fussed about it either, because I think he's a capable player and can do a job as a number 2 goalkeeper. And once again, we've signed in Onana, we've already got Heaton, we've already got the likes of Kova. So I think if Ten Hag has come to a decision about Heaton, must have actually seen in which capacity he can fit into the club. So I think the back line, I'm not that worried. Like, the back line is it is a place where I would say it is very safe and stable right now.
Well, you need 3 goalkeepers, right? So do you think Heaton will be second choice?
Yeah.
And then you bring in, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be third, because if Kovar goes out on loan, I think we just sold one of them to Sunderland. Was it Nathan Bishop?
Nathan Bishop.
Where's your third one? Ideally, I know it's not the exciting, shiny signing that everyone wants, but ideally, really, you still need 3. So I don't know if they're going to bring in a young one or just going to leave it as it is, or
maybe
that's what I'm poking at.
Could be a situation where they once again get in someone on loan. Like, it can happen. They can get.
Oh, as Brian says, does that mean Henderson is staying then if Kovar's going out on loan and we're not signing Suzuki? That's what I'm saying. Who knows? I don't know.
The only club I actually saw being linked to Henderson was Nottingham Forest, and they're going in for Matt Turner now. So
yeah,
it is still anyone's game. Yeah.
Yeah, you might just end up staying. Right, we're going to leave it at that because my laptop's dying and we've got through everything anyway as it is. So look, Sam's just put out the stream for the big season preview. So we need every single one of you getting involved in that live at 6 or 7 o'clock. Make sure you come and join us. Get your predictions in for top 4, top goal scorer, relegations, flop of the seasons, all that kind of jazz. Make sure you come and get involved. If you haven't joined the FPL League just yet, I've mentioned it before, the code is J5AMSC. We've got loads of you joining up. Whoever wins the league gets a retro jersey. We're going to do FPL reviews every single week. Donkey of the week. Again, top 4 of the FPL. Who's performing the best. All that jazz every Friday, basically. So you want to be a part of it. Make sure you join. All the links and stuff are on the Instagram, Twitter, etc. So go check that out. Check us out on socials. Leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to the channel if you are new around these parts. Every single one of you are absolute legends. Thank you for tuning in every single day. We appreciate you more than you know. And Treyas as well. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And yeah, make sure to stick around the channel.
Yes, absolutely. Brian Casey saying any prizes for last in the FPL. I'll get you a donkey teddy if you finish last. Yeah. I'll get you a donkey teddy if you literally finish last. So yeah, you'll still get a prize for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we'll see you later on 6, 7 o'clock. Do not miss it. One of the biggest shows we have on this channel. So yeah, it's going to be mega. Come and join us. Peace.